Thrive with Pride from AgeOptions seeks to connect LGBT older adults in suburban Cook County and beyond with information, assistance, and benefits so that they can thrive as they age. This video contains lots of great information and lots of numbers. In the video description below, we'll post a link to the slide deck, benefits checkup, and other important and helpful information. Be sure to share this with others who may benefit, and check out our website to join us next month.
This is programs for older adults. We'll go to the next slide. And I want to say welcome to everybody here at the Thrive with Pride Cafe. I'm really glad you're here. And for people who are listening to this afterwards, also glad you're listening. And I'd like to ask you to share this information with other folks as well. Some of it might not fit for you, but perhaps for your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, your loved ones. And we'd love to be of assistance to you. Kate has put up our phone number. You can call us, ask for benefits, and we're just more than happy to talk to you. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I'm not going to read everything because you all are great readers and there's just a lot of information here. But we being AgeOptions, are a 501c3 nonprofit incorporated in 1974 and IDOA. So this workshop has a lot of alphabet soup, right? There's a lot of abbreviations. IDOA is the Illinois Department on Aging. So we are the AAA. And then just to give you more alphabet soup, AAA has nothing to do with the American Automobile Association, of which I'm a member, right? It's the Area Agency on Aging. So just to know, we serve suburban Cook County. And I know that gets confusing for folks because Chicago is part of Cook County, but our area is outside of the city. We have 30 townships, 130 communities, and we serve approximately 573,000 older adults. So it's a lot of people, right? And you might ask about our funding. It comes from state, federal, corporate, private foundations, and individual donations. So we'll go on to the next slide. And what's our mission statement? We have this on the wall in our office that right? Yes. Okay, so we innovate, partner, and advocate to improve systems and services in order to strengthen communities so people thrive as they age. Okay, so we'll keep going on. And so when people talk about older adults, right, there's different ages for different programs, correct? So AARP, I believe it's 55. Medicare is 65. Full Social Security is 66. And so for us, it's 60 plus. That's what we call older adults. And we also serve folks with disabilities. And because we as a staff can't serve all those many people in suburban Cook County, we fund agencies to provide services directly to the community members. And I'll just tell you a couple of those services. They are in-home care and adult day services, home delivered meals, pre and post-COVID congregate meals where people come together and have lunch, do some entertainment and educational programs, unpaid caregivers. So that could be like family, neighbors, friends, exes, etc., supporting them because that's a really hard job. Elder abuse support, fraud prevention, and Medicare education, etc. So in fiscal year 2019, we, AgeOptions, and our funded partners served 172,077 individuals. Okay, we'll keep going on, Kate, thanks. Okay, so AgeOptions supports services and programs that make it possible for older adults to live independently in their homes and communities, which many of us want. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, so my department, as I told you before, is the benefits department. And our goal is to increase financial stability of older adults and persons with disabilities through enrollment. And then I'm gonna Go. So this is our little disclaimer here. So the eligibility criteria changes periodically. I have a colleague and she spends hours and hours checking the changes. Some of them are in October, some are in March, etc. So this information in terms of numbers is accurate as of August 2020, but we are not responsible for determining eligibility or the amount of benefits granted. So always consult with the current eligibility guidelines at the time of application. And I do need to just tell you, so I mentioned that I have done a lot of presentations in person, and I did one at a local library for SNAP, which we're going to talk about. And I just told them several times, you know, we're happy, you know, to help you apply, etc. But AgeOptions does not make the decision on eligibility or decide how much in terms of SNAP benefits you'll get per month. And one of the gentlemen in the group at the end of it raised his hand, and I said, oh, okay, what's your question? He goes, no, I just wanted to let you know that you said that about 8 times. So anyway, but it's true. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So one of the public benefits that we'll talk about is the Medicare Savings Program, also called MSP. And that pays for Part A and Part B premiums. And I'm not going to talk like totally about Medicare because that could be like days of workshops. But essentially, the Part A of Medicare is the hospitalization. And people who have worked for 40 quarters, approximately 10 years, that's free, right? You've already paid into it. Your employer's paid into it. The B is the out of hospital, doctor's visits, lab tests, etc. And there's a cost to that. We were talking about that before we started the workshop, and that's right now it's $144.60. And for those people who are getting Social Security, that's taken out automatically. So this program may also cover deductibles and coinsurance. And at the bottom right, you can see like a sample Medicare card. It recently, in the last couple of years, had your Medicare number has changed from your Social Security number to a randomized number, and that was for fraud prevention. Okay, so we'll keep going. All right, I'm going to just talk really briefly about this because there's a lot of alphabet soup and there's a lot of numbers. So this particular program, the Medicare Savings Program, has 3 different levels: QMB, SlimB, QI. And everybody has to be enrolled in Part A. So the QMB has the lowest amount of income, and that's $1,088 for a single person, $1,462 for a couple. And the assets, and you can see the assets, $9,360 for an individual. And then it progresses to the second one. SlimB is a little higher, right? $300, little less than $300 a month higher. And then the QI, 1,461 for single, and then, you know, more for couple, and the assets stay the same. So let's just go on to the next slide. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about, hold on, just let me get some water. Something called extra help. And it gets a little confusing because sometimes people call in or they're looking for extra help, but this is the part of benefits for Part D. And for Medicare, D is for drugs, right? And it's also called low income subsidy. So they're both. So it makes it so there's a no or low premium and deductible and low co-payments for the drugs. So there's 2 levels, it's full or partial. And again, AgeOptions does not make the decision on eligibility. For this particular program, the Social Security Administration, SSA, processes the applications and says yes or no. And there's certain groups that are deemed eligible, they automatically qualify. Okay, so our next slide. So this is just some information. You can see that this, the income is higher than some of the lower ones for the Medicare Savings Program. So I'll just kind of I'll give you a minute to read it. You know, monthly for an individual, 1,456, couple 1,960. And then the resources for an individual, 9,360 or 14,800 for a couple. And then they do let you have a prepaid burial plan. Okay, so we'll go on to the next one. And then, so that was the full extra help. And this one is partial. So the monthly income is a little higher. It's now 1,615 for one person, 2,175 for a couple. And the resources have to be less than 14,610 for an individual, 29,160 for a couple, and then also the prepaid burial. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, so now we're going to talk about SNAP. We're moving from Medicare to food. So again, we're talking about a program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, that helps people get groceries. So I just want to clarify that SNAP is for any age. So you've probably heard about like families, single adults, etc. that get SNAP. For us, our guidelines for people 60 and above or those with disabilities are higher. So that's what we know about because those are the folks we serve. So it's the monthly gross income, gross pre-tax, right? So it went up recently to $2,082 for an individual. So you can see that these monthly income are much higher, you know, relatively speaking, than some of the Medicare programs. $2,818 for a household of two. And I want to clarify that a household is people who live together and buy food together and eat together. So if, you know, however you choose to make the household. Assets do not matter, so that's really good. They do take monthly expenses into consideration. We have to put all this information into like a little spreadsheet on the state website, but what they're talking about for monthly expenses are Medicare premiums, medical bills, utilities, mortgage, rent, etc. We're not, they don't take like credit card debt into account for this. And so the amount, if the household has three, then these amounts would increase. So the amount that you would receive is for one person is between $16 and $194 per month. And with the COVID emergency situation for a number of months in the past, it's been the maximum because of the pandemic. And we're not sure where that's going to go, right? Okay, so we're going to go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is just sort of my image, right? So I'm wanting you to know that SNAP is not apple pie. And I guess we were talking before we started the cameras that I really do like apples, or cherry pie or pizza pie, right? So with the pie, you cut it into equal pieces usually, right? And then when those pieces are gone, the pie is gone. So I have done a number of presentations and I've heard older adults tell me, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do this benefit. And I would say, well, how come? And they're like, you know what? I can get by. I want this to go to young families. The kids are growing. They need their milk. And I get to say to them, you know what? This is not a pie. this is a benefit that's open to all people who qualify. So please, please, please apply. You've paid your taxes for so many years, your friends, loved ones, etc. This is something I want you to reconsider. And usually they do. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I am old enough to remember when SNAP was called food stamps, and it still is, right? And there were actually booklets, and the booklets had different denominations. So $1, $5, $10, etc. And people at the grocery store would tear out the amount and pay for it. And I can still remember being in line between two people, right? There was a man behind me with his grocery cart yelling, and somebody in front of me who was checking out. And the guy behind me, I can still to this day hear him say, "This is such a bad program. Those people are getting food stamps and there's steak there, and I can only afford hamburger. This is bad." He knew nothing about the people in front of me who were checking out, right? And of course, the person checking out with the stamp booklets was just absolutely mortified. I mean, because I could hear, all these people around could hear. So that was a lot of stigma. And now it's electronic with a card. It's called a link card, and it's blue, so that does identify it, but it's like a debit card. So like so many people at the grocery store buy their purchases with a credit card or a debit card. So it's not as visible. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so all of us who drive, and many people do drive in the suburbs, right, have to get a sticker for our license plate. And so there is a program through the state that if you're 65 or older, or you are an individual with a disability, and then just to clarify, a disability in this case is what Social Security disability deems, and somebody getting SSDI. You have to live in Illinois because our state does not want to fund for people in Wisconsin, Indiana, or anywhere else. And the income limit is higher for this than the other benefits we've talked about so far. So it's for an individual, $33,562 per year, and a couple, $44,533. So right now, to get a license plate sticker, it's $151 for the general public. And with this, the discount is $127. So it makes it so the person who's eligible would only have to pay $24. So this is something that you can only apply online. We're happy to do it for folks. We're happy to help you all with any of those benefit programs we talked about. And we mostly do our work over the telephone. And it's really an easy application. If somebody's only getting Social Security, it's just super short. If you're getting, if you file income taxes, then we have to attach that as a document. So just before I go on there, I just wanted to tell a tiny little story. As I said, I used to do a lot of in-person presentations, and I did one, it was over a year ago, at one of the senior apartment buildings through the Housing Authority of Cook County. And it was for SNAP. And so we would go into a presentation, and those people who seemed eligible and were interested, we arranged to come back the next week and be in different corners of a room and bring our computers and tablets, et cetera, to take pictures of documents, because the state always wants documents. So I was working with this one gentleman, and he seemed eligible for SNAP. He seemed eligible for the license plate discount. He seemed eligible for the Medicare Savings Program. I mean, he had like so little in income. So when he told me that, I was really excited, because for people like me, like helping people get benefits is just like what we live for, right? So long story short was, I started with the license plate discount. He was rejected. So I called them just to inquire, I'm confused. It seems to me like he meets the guidelines. And apparently he was also working. He neglected to tell me that, right? And he was over. So he was over the $33,000, 562. So he was not eligible for any of it. And I called to kind of say, well, this is the situation. Just wanted to let you know. And he said, well, it's actually none of their business that I'm working. And I said, well, actually, the way it works now with computers, right? The state of Illinois talks to the Department of Employment Security, talks to the computer at Social Security. So this information is, they get it. And, so that was just an interesting story. Let's just continue because I know some people need to leave. The LIHEAP, another abbreviation, is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. We don't administer or help people with that program, and that's something that's through CETA. And they help folks with payments for energy service and sometimes furnace assistance or repair, replacement. Summer cooling has not been for a while. So that's www.ceta.org.net, or there's the LIHEAP hotline. Okay, we'll keep continuing. So I wanted to give you a couple helpful resources. And the first is called the Benefits Checkup. And we're funded, our benefits department gets funding from the National Council on Aging. It's a national group. They do excellent work. And they have this really useful and helpful tool called the Benefits Checkup. So it's just www.benefitscheckup.org, and you put a bunch of information or get somebody to help you with that. And then it shows you all benefits that you might be eligible for in the whole country. It's really good. The next slide has another resource. Medicare is confusing, right? It's really confusing. There's a really good site, which is Medicare.gov. And you've got helpful forms, you've got resources, you can do claims and appeals, you can change your plans, and you can also call them the 1-800 Medicare number too, but that's a good resource. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, so the Illinois Aging Services, illinoisagingservices.org, that's the umbrella. And it links down to the Eldercare Locator. And then it comes down to AgeOptions for suburban Cook County. So, you might have relatives, friends, acquaintances, etc., that live in other parts of the area, right? In Southern Illinois, Western Illinois, etc. And, you might want to help them get some assistance. And you can look there and see what the Area Agency on Aging, the AAA, not the American Automobile Association, what agency provides services there. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide that I kind of talked about, and that's the Eldercare.gov. And there's a phone number there, a 1-800, and that's for the country. And it will connect, if somebody calls that number and says they're in one of the communities of suburban Cook County, they will immediately refer them to AgeOptions. And that's when the call will go into our information and assistance department. And I get to do that part-time too. And we will help older adults, their friends, family, professionals find resources. Okay, and so then we're just going to go. So if people have disabilities, and again, that's disabilities as deemed by Social Security disability insurance, there's some good resources to get help from. So there's something called the Progress Center for Independent Living. and that's for people with disabilities under the age of 60 and that reside in suburban Cook County. Now there's one in Forest Park. The office is on Madison by Des Plaines on the north side of the street. I've been there for meetings. And there's another one, I think it's in the south suburbs. I think it's Blue Island. And so great support there. For people who live in the city of Chicago, there's something called Access Living, excellent organization. And then there's the Illinois Network of Centers for Independent Living. And that's, you can kind of look by county on their website. So we're just gonna continue, we're almost done. So I know it's a little confusing as to who serves what, but again, for suburban Cook County, outside of the city of Chicago, it's AgeOptions. And I just, you know, if you have a paper and pencil, our number is 708-383-0258, and call us. And then what if you live in the city of Chicago? That's the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services, Senior Services, and the number is there. And then the collar counties. So that collar counties would include Will County, Kane County, Kankakee County, Lake County, etc. That's kind of like a concentric ring, right? City of Chicago, then we're around it, and then outside of that, right, like a tree ring. Is an agency called Age Guide. It used to be called Northeastern Illinois, and now it's called Age Guide. And they have a 1-800 number. They cover a lot of counties, so you would call the 800 number, specify what county you're in, and they would connect you. So, and then there's just one more resource that I wanted to share with people, and that's something called Senior Rainbow Assistance Program. And Kate mentioned to me that that group will be presenting at a future meeting, at a future cafe. And they have a really nice website, seniorrainbow.org. And you can see they're really trying to do a program of assistance to folks that are struggling with food and rent, etc., and especially in these hard times. So last but not least is thank you so much for coming. So again, my name's Joy Aaronson, and my position is Benefit Access and Information Specialist. And you can call our agency, I keep repeating this, 708-383-0258. And our benefits department is extension 393. We have volunteers and we have other staff, and we're just more than happy to work with you or the people that you refer to us.
Thanks for watching. Please help by filling out a very brief survey in our video description. This helps us tell our funders what we're doing and how we're helping you and your loved ones thrive as you age. Be sure to join us on Zoom September 22nd, when we'll hear from Proud to Thrive fellow Elizabeth Heber at the Center for Disability and Elder Law, who will be telling us about the important documents you can use to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your assets.